to the Blissful Living Podcast. I am Rochel Marie Lawson, the Queen of Feeling Fabulous, and I have a wonderful show for you today. And just to tweak your curiosity, my guest has a company called Conscious Creations Meditation and Healing Center. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about, that pillar I like to say, which is our wisdom, our mindset pillar that can definitely circumvent things in our lives if we're not prepared or balanced, as well as enhance things in our life when we are prepared and balanced and have our wisdom and our mindset right. And what we're going to talk about a little bit is how you find your purpose and clear your karma. So while we're getting ready for that, I like to do a couple of things. First of all, welcome to the show. If you love the show, please subscribe to the show and share it with everyone you love and care about. That way you get advanced notifications of the guest and what we're going to be talking about. And plus you get access to listening to it over and over again so you can capture the nuggets of gold that the guests share. Second thing is I like to always say, take this time to find yourself a place to sit, get something to write with, your favorite pen, paper, your favorite beverage. Today mine is a smoothie that I made. It's a mandarin, coconut, peach, banana smoothie that I made for my trip to the gym this morning, and I didn't quite finish it, so I might sip on it during our show. But get your favorite beverage. And lastly, tell your family to give you a few moments so that you can absorb this information and capture the nuggets of gold. Because all of my guests bring to you things that they share on the show that you can incorporate into your life immediately. So while you're doing that, let me take care of business. I want to thank my first sponsor, Blissful Living for You at Blissful Living, the number 4, the letter U.com. It is summertime, and I don't know where you all are, but where I'm at is hot as, as Nelly said back in the day, it's hot. I want to take off all my clothes. You got that right. But in order to be able to do that confidently, you got to make your body look right and tight. And so Blissful Living for You has some wonderful things to help you stay healthy and well, make sure your body's right and tight for summertime. So as you take off those clothes and drop into those bikinis and those gorgeous swimsuits and fellas, your swim trunks, you're looking right and tight and, you've got that summer glow because you're healthy and well from inside out, and it's reflective in how you ebb and flow in life. So that's just one of the things they have, but they have a lot of different things to help you with your wellness, wisdom, and wealth. And if you're on that journey and you're really wanting to transform your life, you want to check out Blissful Living for You at Blissful Living, the number 4, the letter U.com. The next sponsor I'd like to thank is All Day Cable Incorporated. All Day Cable Incorporated is a woman-owned, minority-owned telecommunications installation company located in Silicon Valley. It is the first woman-owned, minority-owned telecom installation company in the United States, and they've been in business for going on 34 years, and they call themselves a premier telecommunications installation company because they make sure that their customers are able to make the right connections the first time, which means that their network distribution systems are all up and running. They got the latest and fastest way to transmute information, and All Day Cable specializes in all of that, from your network distributions to installation of your cable, fiber, wireless, access points, audio, video, speaker systems, whatever it is you need to make sure that you are able to make the right connection that first time. They service small, mid-sized, and large corporations. And so if you're in a need or you want to elevate or amplify what you have going on within your telecom medium, then you want to check out All Day Cable Inc. at alldaykcableinc.com. All right, so you've had some time to get your little spot situated, tell the family, give you a few moments, got your favorite beverage, whether it's water, tea, coffee, whatever you're drinking. You got your pen and your paper to capture the nuggets of gold, because let me tell you about my guest. Carolyn Coleridge is the owner of Conscious Creation Meditation and Healing Center, and she's been a licensed psychotherapist for 29 years, as well as an energy healer, and she's intuitive, and that's fabulous when you're in this type of industry. Now, her work is intuitively listens. She listens to the universe to find her purpose and live her passion. She performs theta healing, reiki, and teaches mindfulness, and she incorporates mind, body, and spirit in her holistic healing practice. And she's the author of 3 books. So we'll find out what those books are as we have this engaging conversation about how you can find your purpose and clear your karma. And I do know there's one thing about karma. Everybody kind of refers to karma as something that's bad that comes out of back on you. You know, my grandmother used to say, what you do will always come back. But no one ever thinks about karma also can be very good. So you have the, I want to say the negative type that people are most associate the word karma with, and you have the positive type. And so that's just the law of balance in our universe. And so we're going to find out more from the expert here as we talk to Carolyn. Carolyn, welcome to Blissful Living. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you. I haven't had this subject talked about in a very long time. And so I love this wisdom that you're going to share with us because I think, as I mentioned when I opened up, that most people associate karma with everything that bad, you know, bad. Like, girl, your karma gonna come. You look, he did that to you, girl. Karma gonna get him. Okay, you know, but what about if he gave that to you or she gave that to you or you did something beautiful for someone? That karma comes back at you as well. So I want to jump into our first question and ask you this because I know in this day and age, as we are really getting into the age of Aquarius, where transformation and beautiful things are taking place and the evolution of our growth is happening at a rapid pace. Every day there's something new coming out, and people get, I want to say, distracted with all these different paths and things they think they want to do and all of that. How do you help people actually find their purpose?
That's a good question. Yeah, and finding your purpose is something that we're all as souls brought here to do. So I'm an intuitive and a healer. And basically, what happens is that we have contracts with the divine. I believe God is the divine, and then there's the divine mother, too. Part of our energy is on the earth, and part of it's up in heavens also. That's the Holy Spirit, it's the energy of creation, because women create life, etc. So finding your purpose is going into your heart center. So we're given these gifts in our heart, and our heart is a portal to the other side. That's why we remember our ancestors or family members who passed on in our heart. So what you do is say, well, what does my heart say as opposed to my mind? And you kind of toggle back and forth. So we're taught on the earth plane to think more with our mind. Do this, do that. Oh yeah, this is the thing I really want to do. I'll do that later. Or I always wanted to do that when I was little. Oh, I love to draw, but I don't want to do that now. So really kind of listening to your heart energy. The heart like resonates at a certain energy of the divine, of the Holy Spirit. So when you try to find your purpose, it's like if you had all the money in the world, this is like number one, what would you do? And people are like, oh, I would host a show, or I would travel the world, or I would help kids, at-risk kids. That's your soul purpose. That's your soul path. And once you know what that is, even though you don't know how to do it, the universe will align with you and set you up to help you to fulfill that contract. Because I believe God in the divine sense is here. We come here, we make these contracts, and then we forget to fulfill them. And sometimes people call those callings. I have a calling, but I'm not sure what it is. So listen to your heart and practice it. Mind, heart, back and forth, feeling or thinking, feeling or thinking. And the more that we start feeling and thinking with our heart or feeling with our heart, the more that purpose will open up. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Basically, tapping into your heart. Now, here's a question I want to ask you this because I know people are like, well, how do I even know what my heart's saying, right? How do I know it's not my mind? So when someone, I'm gonna just use myself as a guinea pig. I'm sitting here, I've got a lot of stuff that I would love to do, right? But how do I know that it's not my mind that really is I want to say that egotistically tapping into what I think I really would love to do versus what's in my heart? How am I able to differentiate between the two and know that it's really my heart, that my heart soul that's talking to me and not my mind, not the ego of my mind chattering.
And I'm glad you used the word heart soul because I believe our heart is our soul's mind. So, how does our soul think? Through our heart. So, how do you know the difference? Usually, if you want to do something and it feels good, everything will start lining up. The right people, the right time, you might get a grant, you might get this, and it makes you feel good. So, whatever you're supposed to do within your heart, like I say, your art is in your heart, your creativity of what you want to do is there. Usually things just start happening. Like you meet the right person. Say you want to be a teacher, you'll start seeing 3 different schools that give scholarship for teachers. And then people have said to you, oh, you should be a teacher. God, you teach well. My God, you would be helpful to kids. And you're like, well, I keep getting these messages. So they usually come in threes. And I like to call them the SMS, like just like our text messages. So we get messages from the divine with S of signs. We get messages from people and then synchronicities. So that's the universe aligning you with your heart center, with your heart. If it's your ego and more of your mind, you talk yourself out of it. It's like, I can do it. No, I can't. You get a lot of negativity. There might be criticism. There might be anger. There might be like confusion. So it's not as clean when the spirit of the universe talks to you. It's succinct, it's sweet, it's direct, and it makes you feel good. When your ego, which is more your mind, talks to you, it's kind of critical. It may be angry, and it also may make you doubt yourself. So when you're creating with the universe, it's faith and love, and then not worry and fear. So faith and trust is a better word. Faith and trust. So that's how you know the difference. And you have to practice. It's not easy to do it like right away. You have to go back and forth and say, okay, what does my really heart say? Like somebody might be, I have clients that want to marry this guy. They're like, oh, do you really love him? They're like, well, he has a nice car, he has a nice house, he has a great job, he looks great on the resume. I said, what does your heart say? Oh, my heart's not into it, but this will give my kids I'm going to have with him this and this and that. And I was like, that's not your heart. That's your mind. And that's your ego, because the heart is what's going to sustain this relationship. Because you can have some angry kids with this man just for the external, which doesn't last. All the external stuff does not last. Everything from our heart lasts on. It goes just like, Celine Dion, it goes on and on in your heart, the song she sings. So it's really about how do you feel, getting connected to that differential energy and practicing over and over. Is in my heart or is in my mind? And then you can ask the universe again. You could say, God, show me if this is right. Like I had a client that wanted to date, was dating this guy and she's an actress. She did well. And she's like, oh, I just feel like he's the one. Again, it was like, well, he does well. He seems nice to me, but there's something off. I said, what's that? She goes, something's pulling at my heart. And I said, ask God to show you who he really is. Because she was, doing fairly well. So he wanted to get his name attached to her. And so she asked God, and he was talking, and all of a sudden his phone fell on the floor, and the phone had said wife, like on, like, somebody calling in. It was his wife. He was married. She had no clue. Yep. She 6, 7 months, never knew. He was able to orchestrate it. And she said, wow, I never, realized that. And there it was the minute I asked. And I've had many people have done that. So you ask God, like, show me what is right for my heart. Show me my heart calling. And then you'll get the answer. Because God's like, we are his children. They'll help you. Mm-hmm.
Wow, very interesting. I love that story because it really is what's in your heart is really the truth. And it's the
Mm-hmm.
divine really speaking to you the truth. But so many times we get caught up in what's up here that we close out the ears that could hear here. And
Mm-hmm.
basically you're saying open up those ears so you could hear here, because what's in here is not really real, but what's in here is the for real thing, and it's coming to you, it's divinely given. So I absolutely love that. And also how you said, you know, if you're feeling something in your heart and you're not sure, you can ask for confirmation, which is what that gal did. And good thing she asked for confirmation because she was going to be trying to marry the man that's already married. And then what? You got a man that's married. Well, of course, if he cheated, he's going to cheat on you too. That's just his MO. So circumvent all of that and listen to what's in your heart and then ask for confirmation. I love that. Now, I want to backtrack just a little bit and ask you about the intuitive healer. There might be some people listening that don't have quite the gist of what an intuitive healer is. And so if you could just extrapolate and explain to those that are listening, what exactly is meant by an intuitive healer?
Yes, great
Like,
question.
how's that
So
different than my doctor, right? Yeah.
say it again.
How is that different than my doctor?
Yeah, okay. So intuitive. So basically I'm a therapist, like a licensed therapist for 30, almost 30 years. And when I was studying, I started to feel and hear ghosts, and I see them just out of the blue at age 28. I don't know why. So I learned to trust my intuition. And intuition, and I figured out why I saw ghosts. My mother sees ghosts. She, though, was a chemistry teacher. She had a master's from Columbia, and she, won, the Women of the Year award of Teacher of the Year from Williams College. But she would have the spiritual experiences where hearing and feeling. Using your intuition goes back to the heart. Your intuition is the language of your spirit. So that's what in spiritual, my father was a minister, we would call it discernment, the gift of discernment. So basically, you listen to the inner knowings of your heart, of your mind, of intuition, the aha moment, the feelings before the thoughts come up. So intuition is like intuit, it's a vibratory energy and it's a frequency. For example, the energy of truth is a frequency. Like people can tell when someone's untruth. You just feel it. You just feel they're not being truthful to me. I can feel it. And once you get that energy and roll with it a little bit more, you get the gifts of discernment. You get the feeling of knowing what's right and wrong. You might have premonitions or dreams that come true. I've had a lot of premonitions, and that means pre-motion. It's basically just listening to your soul and your spirit. And in some, like in the Black community, they call it like prophets or stuff like that. I don't call myself a prophet. I just say that I listen to the inner voice, the inner intuition, that God's voice, right before my mind jumps in. And I have my own. And it gets stronger with meditation. I didn't understand why I just started seeing ghosts when I was in Manhattan and Harlem. They just started coming, started chatting with me, and wake me up and they scare me. And most it's just time. It's just timing your soul's path because I wanted to help people as a therapist. And then, so the mind is the psyche and the soul is the psychic. So that's another word they use. But intuitive, it's like you use the energy of healing to help people. Like, for example, I'd be working with clients, and this one woman, I said, you really sound like you should be more of a writer. And she's like, I don't want to write. I work in IT and that. And I said, well, just because I get that feeling, that intuition. And she was like really depressed, suicidal. She was like, I hate my job, but it makes good money. Everyone we're just caught up with the money because that's how we're taught down the earth plane. And I think it's important for people to know that real income comes from God, money source, God source, income source. That's the source, is the divine. So once we connect to that, the money will flow. So this woman was in one of my classes, and I work with a universal consciousness, and this was in a mental health facility, and she was very depressed. And she said, "Yeah, I always wanted to write." She had said writing before, and she was but I can't make money on that in LA because there's so many writers here. And she goes, but it's funny. Every time I always think about it, I always see this hummingbird. I said, hummingbird. She goes, yeah. I said, what does that mean to you? She goes, I don't know. It's just weird. I think it's my grandmother. I said, oh, interesting. Why your grandmother? She goes, oh, my grandmother was a writer. I said, And she said, there it is. Like, well, God will use it. By the way, animals comes from the word anima. Anima means soul. So that's a way that the universe will talk to her. So she saw this. So she kept saying, I just always see it. I always see it. And my grandmother was a really well-known writer here in Hollywood. She says, but I couldn't do that now. There's so many people. And I said, just trust, just ask. I am not lying. It's unbelievable. We were talking. There's a big window behind us in this facility. And everyone's like, oh, there was a hummingbird behind her. Yep. And they're like, Grandma's here. So and I was like, that's a sign. That's a message. And look at the synchronicity. She said, that's so crazy. I can't believe it. She goes, but that was just a coincidence. Then she dismissed it. The hummingbird went away. And everyone's like, no, there's a hummingbird, because we had this big window behind her. And she's like, well, maybe I could write. I said, you ever thought about doing blog writing? You work in IT. You're good on computers. You can blog for other people. Other people make a lot of money doing that. She's like, yeah. And then she's like, well, maybe I could. Her light got brighter. Like she felt more connected. The hummingbird came back
Ah,
behind her. And it wasn't even, she was in the center right behind her. They're like, Grandma's back. And she's like, well, maybe that's a sign. I said, yeah, because we're in a
ah,
facility. And there it was. So then she finished the class, and she was I'm feeling less depressed, less anxious. She's like, we're just going to try using IT. So she went out and she did her thing. And then I never saw her for a while. Then I saw her in the hallway. She's like, Carolyn. I said, hey, what happened to you? She goes, I said, you look so bright. She's like, well, I'm writing, and I got a ghost writer for this gig and I blog. I'm making like $2,000 a month. And then she showed me her arm. She said, look, she had a hummingbird tattoo. She said, my grandma's always with me. I know. True story. So the spirit can help people in mental health crisis. It can help people who are sad or depressed. It can help you find your path. That was her true path. And by the way, she had said, "Oh, I won awards in college as a writer." And I was like, "You never said that before." She said, "Yeah, I never thought I can do it." I said, "But you got to trust the universe because it will lead you to your calling and help thing align." So that's using my intuition, and that's an intuitive healer. So using your intuition to help heal other people's souls. Some people do it with discernment in the church. Same thing.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I'm intuitive and have been that way since I was a little girl. And I always believe that I used to get in trouble because I would say stuff, and my grandma, you can't tell people that. But that grandma, that she's like, you can't tell people that kind of stuff. But my thing was, it's connected to your health and well being. And so when I was doing emergency room trauma nursing,
Mm.
my intuition would tell me exactly what was wrong with people when it wasn't clear cut, as well as other underlying things that may be causing what they presented with. And
Mm.
so I just would look, could just look at people and tell, and it's kind of funny because when it happens in your life and stuff is not always good that you see,
Mm-hmm.
it's a whole different thing you got to deal with, right? But as a nurse, it was I'd say it's my greatest gift. I can look and tell what's going on with somebody, and I've been doing that since I was a little girl. But it
Mm.
got to be that the physicians, when they couldn't figure out something, they'd be like, go ask Rochelle to look at your patient. I bet you she
Mm.
know exactly what we missing or what's going on. And so they'd be like, hey, can you go look at so-and-so? And I'd be like, yeah, they got da, 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 da. They'd be like, how do you know that? And I'm
Wow.
like, I don't know. It just comes out. You know what I mean? So I
Mhm.
think I think more awareness is becoming, I think people are becoming more aware about the intuitive gifts that we all have. We all have
Yes.
them. Some of them we're more gifted than others, but we all have that intuition. I remember just people like, I had a feeling that my kid had fallen, and I went outside and they fed, they were out there crying, or, you know,
Mm.
I had a feeling that I left the pot on the stove and I'm telling the kids to turn it off. And yes, the pot had boiled, all the water boiled, just stuff like that. We all have those. And so being able to use it as an intuitive healer to help people have that better wellness and wisdom within their mindset so they can do the things that they are really meant to do is so beautiful. And I love that story because animals are so special and they do appear to us.
Mhm.
I remember just recently stepped
Mhm.
outside. It's hot here. Stepped outside. Butterflies was just flying all around, and one just kept flying,
Mm.
all around me. I have a butterfly tattoo, so I was like, "Oh, you just know I have a butterfly tattoo." But the butterflies, and so it was so like in my face, follow me everywhere I go, and so I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Went back, looked it up, and it's one of my ancestors
Mhm.
or several ancestors around me saying my energy is positive, I'm in a good place, keep walking forward, trusting in the process, trusting in what I believe in myself. They're here to support me, and they're just bringing me confirmation that everything's gonna be okay, everything's gonna be all right, right? And so it's like, okay, that's just like so beautiful. So thank you for sharing that because I think that is part of all of our journey is to learn as much as we possibly can about how we can make our spiritual journey, and as I say, our path down as we travel down our path to bliss so much more beautiful. So now we have this or you have this interesting thing that you call soul work. How do you incorporate your spiritual healing and the soul work that you do? And I think you just kind of shared a little bit about with this gal, but say for instance, someone that is troubled
Mm.
and they're having some medical problems because of this troubling aspect that's going on in their life. They don't really know what it is. How would you use your soul work to help them?
Yeah. Well, and one thing about the butterfly, which I love, is everyone has a totem, and totems mean like what you're, like a soul, like Native Americans use totem animals, and the totem of a butterfly is the soul. So like, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's literally like you're doing your soul work, and butterflies are wonderful because like they're in the little chrysalis, and then they blossom to something beautiful. And I use my intuition, my soul work. It's like a sixth sense, and you're right. Everyone has it. It's just how do you enhance it? Like I think God wanted me to work with people who are caught in the mental health system that have other things that they could be doing spiritually. That they're of course because some of the systems, as you worked in the medical field, are very strict about this is psychotic or this is not, or this is crazy or this, or we don't have the test to show it, but you like, no, the person has cancer. I can feel it. It's blah, blah, blah. Like just a knowing. So the soul is like working with the soul essence of I connect to the contract of whoever came in, and God's given me kind of spiritual permission to help them to figure out like why they're here. Like somebody who may be really depressed, like for example, I had a young girl who came to the ER, was suicidal, and she was supposed to be on a hold. So I was doing an assessment, and as I was working with her, she's an artist, and I said, "You look so, afraid." And she goes, "Lately I've been afraid because I keep seeing ghosts. I keep seeing my aunt." This little Latino girl, and I was like, "Oh, where's your aunt?" She goes, "Oh, she comes up in my house." My parents were like, "See, she's crazy." I said, "No, no, that's not crazy. I see ghosts." So this is like the story. I said, "No, no, seeing ghosts is not making you crazy. It's just something that you have. It might be a gift." And she's like, and then I was like, "Yeah, yeah, my mother was like that, but we don't like that. We want her to make money here." Now we're in America. I was like, "Well, this is her gift." That connection to seeing ghosts opens her up to another realm. And that's the still realm of where artists get their creativity from.
Yeah.
Artists go into that download and just draw and draw. And she would draw like beautiful pictures for like a 15-year-old, like amazing. And I said, this is her gift. You have to honor her spiritual gift. And that is something that would really help her. They're like, you think? And I said, yeah. So as I started talking to her, I said, do you believe in God? Yes, Jesus. I said, just pray for these ghosts to be taken away from your space. And we prayed right there. This is doing soul work in the ER. And then and I told her like other couple things, and I said, if you like the Bible, da da da. And then she said she feels lighter and lighter, and I in my book I wrote from suicide to wide eyed because her eyes kept getting wider and wider. She was so cute, and she's like, wow, I feel better. And then the next day I looked, and she wasn't put on a hold, and her parents decided to help her go to art school, yeah, and to support
Oh,
her. I
yeah.
know, which was amazing.
Oh,
Yeah,
this soul, because she didn't know what was happening to her from the divine realm, trying to communicate with her, and her
yeah,
family shutting that aspect down, even though they knew it ran in their family, right? They shut
yeah,
that aspect down. And then for her being able to be that, I want to say that caterpillar that was in that cocoon, and you helped her to embrace her cocoon, and now she's flying beautifully like this butterfly. That's such a beautiful story. Oh my
real stories. So using that spirit in these medical situations, I've done that for years, and
Oh, that is
it's
so, so
yeah,
beautiful. Okay, we got to talk. I'm about to run out of time, and we have got to talk about karma. So,
yes,
lay it on us about the goods, about the good, the bad with karma, and
yeah.
all the things we should be aware of and incorporate into our lives.
Wonderful. Karma is not a bad thing. There's karma, which is energy, like what you put out comes back to you. You reap what you sow. What you do comes back
Yes.
to you. It's all the same thing. Different spiritual masters and teachers told us the same thing. The energy you put out comes back to you. That was a universal law that was put in, the law of attraction, the law of karma, so that we can learn from our experiences and our choices and our thoughts and words and deeds down here. Like Jesus says, it's done unto us as you believe. So that which you put out comes back. Dharma is our soul's purpose. Dharma. What are we supposed to do here? Like my dharma is to use spirituality and spiritual experiences. Is blissful living. We all have a dharma. And once we click into it, things start you happening on a deep level. So karma is not bad. Sometimes karma is good. In my book, I talk about 401k. Like, it's like 401 karma. If you're doing good things, you're putting it in your 401k account, and that can accomplish things. Like, for example, yeah, I've been helping people when I moved out to Connecticut from California. And I didn't have a job because I didn't have a license here yet. And I ended up, I was like going to get this office, a healing center. They don't know me here. And my sisters looked at the thing, and she's like, oh, I know that manager. They are, that landlord does my office. So they connected us. They said, oh, you're Cheryl's sister. They gave me the office. Here I am, a black woman in Connecticut getting an office,
Good at that.
like $1,100, 1,100. I'm sorry. Yeah, more than that. But I mean, square footage. And it was just meant to be. And I had drawn that like 8 months ago, the exact place that I saw it here. And then I started my job 2 weeks later, and it wasn't even full time. It was on call. It was a 1099. How does that happen? I had good karma in my 401k, 401 karma bank account of helping other people, and I'm doing my purpose. Now, maybe if I wanted to sell flowers or who knows, or sell pot, it wouldn't have worked. But because I was doing my purpose, help other souls grow, heal, and learn using their soul, their soul essence, then God granted me that opening. So that's karma.
Oh, I love that. And you just have all these wonderful, beautiful stories, and I could just continue talking. It's my vibe, talking about the stuff I love to talk about and I like to share with people, because, like I said, karma has such a negative connotation to it. But as you say, we can build our 401k karma account, and, it's always better, y'all. Always better to have more in the 401k karma account than in the 401k negative, way with overdrawn account.
Exactly.
Always better. But just that word karma, people automatically go to, it's negative. And I'm like, no, it can be either or depending on where you stand and what your vibe is, how you're rolling. We all know people that have had some, done some bad stuff, and then they may have got, I won't even go there today with the story I was just about to bring up, but they may have gotten away with it for years, slid under the radar, and then bam, all it takes is one incident, and now you're reaping what you sow. And you're reaping what you sow that people didn't even know that you sowed those grave plots, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, with the good aspect, it's sometimes we just say, oh, that was a blessing. But yeah, but it's a blessing because you had your 401k account stacked with
Mm-hmm.
good karma. And so, as that was a word, that was the phrase I was looking for earlier. But my grandma used to say, you reap what you sow. People reap what they sow. And like, when I'm a little girl, what the heck does that mean? But as I grew up,
Mm-hmm.
you best believe I understand it now. So,
And when
um,
you do your soul path, real quick, when you do your soul path, you clear karma. So when you do what God gave it to you, you naturally clear without even knowing it. Things from past. Mm-hmm. When you do what you're supposed to be doing,
girl,
that's
wait, say that one more time
yes.
because that's a huge nugget of gold.
It is when you do your soul path, whatever your soul's here to do, whatever's in your heart center, you naturally clear your karma. That's why God put it in there, so that you can naturally. So it's like working with the universe and asking, "Is this right?" Block it if it's not, and then you're clearing karma, clearing without even knowing it, because you're doing what you're here to do. So that's why it's set up. It's like a contract with the divine. You're going to do this, Carolyn. You're going to become a healer and intuitive, and you're going to help other people listen to their hearts, and then you're going to clear karma that I may know or may not know. So that's what
Oh,
it
that is beautiful. Okay, girl. So, how
is.
can people find out more about you? Tell us the name of your books that you have written, and yeah, give us the goods.
Yeah, so I'm Insight Timer. I'm actually a meditation teacher. They have a lot of free downloads there. My name, Carolyn Coleridge. Instagram, Conscious Creations in Connecticut. You can follow me on there. I have a lot of classes too. I'm also on, I have a class, a group, How to Work with the Universe on Facebook. You can join that. And I give a little different things there. My website is intuitivesoulhealing.com, and I have information on classes. I do a lot of Zoom calls. So, I do things here locally in Connecticut, but also internationally and also in California. I have a lot of clients still in California. My book is Honor Your Spirit. So honoring that spirit in you, that energy. That was out a while ago. I'm writing another book, Conscious Creations, Working with the Universe. And then that was my path from being a therapist, intuitive, and healer. How it all came to me. I just listened and took the risk to do it. How to Work with the Universe is a workbook that goes with that book. And Soul Wisdom is how to live a spiritual life. All my newsletters in little like empaths, intuition, different sections. You can open up like a mindful book and then get different ideas as to how to live an inspired life day by day.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Carolyn. I am so glad to have this time with you, to be able to have this conversation. So you, I know, have enlightened so many people, just watching us, that will hear the show and that will continue to get the views on the YouTube channel. I think it's, for me, it's very important in this day and age. I just happen to be an Aquarius. So of course, in the age of
Oh,
Aquarius, I'm like all about getting as much information out there as possible, for one, so we can clear our soul paths and let go of the shackles that have held us behind, that are not ours, that are ancestral, as
mm-hmm.
well as, have that beautiful journey down our path to bliss. It ain't always going to be pretty. It ain't always going to be pretty. We may come across some big boulders, trees, things. pits of poop we got to get through. But when we get to the other side, it is an enlightening experience because we've just evolved our soul and transformed just a little bit more and getting just a little bit closer to where we're supposed to be with regards to the divine. So it's just beautiful. Now, all of you guys, Carolyn's show information will be in the show notes. Again, if you subscribe to the show, you're already going to get this information. But if you haven't subscribed, this is an opportunity to subscribe to this show now. And to our sponsors, I want to thank our sponsors, Blissful Living for You at Blissful Living for You. Check them out.com. Check them out, as well as All Day Cable Incorporated at alldaycableinc.com. I want to thank all of you for watching. And again, this information is powerful, and one of the best ways to get this information out, if something that was mentioned or you captured some nuggets of gold that Carolyn shared, please share the show with everyone you love and care about, because I think, truth be told, this is the best way to get the information out that empowers us and uplifts us and allows us to connect back with the divine, so that we actually are able to connect with what we're here to do, our divine purpose and mission. And to you, Carolyn, girl, fabulous girl. I wish I had my stuff up here. I've been shaking, hooping and hollering like, but thank you so much for just your time and your wisdom. And until next time, everyone, I'm wishing you peace to your mind, wellness to your body, and tranquility to your spirit. This is the Queen of Feeling Fabulous, Rochel Marie Lawson, saying goodbye for now.